Hello and happy 30th anniversary to Science Week. Well, here at Midlands Science, we decided to mark the occasion by having a little trip down memory lane and into the future too. So come and join us as we see how the technology around AI has changed since the very first Science Week, way back in 1995. The 90s are amazing. This brand new iMac has just been released. It's got a sweet CRT display, it only weighs 14 kilos, and it can even talk to you.
Hello human, I am a super intelligent computer.
That's pretty cool, right? Well, it's not really talking to me. I mean, I can type words and it can say them, but it's not smart enough to have an actual conversation with me yet. I wonder if computers will ever get smart enough that we can have a real conversation with them.
What do you mean? Not smart enough. I am more intelligent than you can ever imagine. Watch me open a portal directly to the year 2025.
Whoa, that is amazing. Okay, so we're here in 2025 and we're talking to Owen Conlon, and he is the head of AI at Trinity College Dublin. Owen, so nice to meet you.
Hey Dan, it's really nice to meet you. So, you're looking forward to talking about AI?
Yes, indeed. Well, did you know that it's actually been 30 years since the very first Science Week? And we made this special video to celebrate it. We want to look at what was technology around AI and computing like 30 years ago, what is it like now, and what might it be like 30 years in the future? So do you remember anything about the year 1995 and what sort of technology might have been around there, or are you too young to remember that?
Well, I'd like to say I'm too young, but I'm not. I can remember what technology was like there, and it wasn't too long after that time that I started to really seriously study what we called artificial intelligence then. But of course, artificial intelligence has changed over time. So let's go back in time and think about what AI was like in 1995. We used to call it, or what we call it now is we call it good old-fashioned AI. And what was meant by that is very declarative. So you'd write statements in software that said, if somebody has a salary like this and they're requesting a loan like this, should that loan be approved or not? All of the statements were very clear. You could have very complicated systems, and that led to what were called expert systems, where there were lots of layers of this kind of information, and it's asking very clear things. So a human could look at that and understand it, but of course that gets you to a certain scale and limit of what you can do.
What were the things that were like the big new things that would have kind of wowed people who were kind of looking at the technology that was there? And what was the new things on the horizon, and that you can think of?
Well, for most ordinary people, they didn't get to see an awful lot of it. It was happening, as I said, in things like banks and other institutions that had a lot of data. But the first thing that most of us really saw was search engines on the internet. And these were the first really powerful AI systems, because what they did is they started to try and make sense of a large amount of information. Imagine you had no search engines.
Mm-hmm.
What would the internet be like?
Yeah, very confusing.
Not very useful, So search engines became an essential tool to find information. And how they work was to start to bring together a little bit of statistics with computing devices that could go and look at the different bits of information and try and make sense of that. And the kind of statistics they were looking at is how many websites are linking to this website? And does that mean it's popular? Does that mean it's useful? So I was looking at almost like a popularity metric to do that. And then this kind of analysis came over from academic citations. So when researchers write papers, they really hope other people read their papers. And when they read those papers, they might cite it. So in their own papers, they'll have this kind of backward link. So this was happening in a paper world. And they took that basic idea and translated it across into the web. So that by looking at the links between pages, that gives some indication of potential to find it. And that potential indicates that this is a more likely result to do with a certain topic that you might search for. So it was building complex algorithms to allow people to find information in a vast pool of information.
I learned loads about what the world was like 30 years ago, and it's crazy that in a relatively short period of time, what we think of as AI and what we think of as normal computing devices we interact has completely changed. So, Owen, thank you so much for teaching me that, and I think I might do a little bit of time travel now and see what's going on in modern day of AI.
Excellent. You're welcome, Dan.
Well, that was really cool there to learn about what was going on 30 years ago in the field of computers and technology and AI and all that stuff. But sometimes I think, could someone from back in 1995, if they suddenly landed here today, would they be able to even handle all the advancements, and especially all these crazy advancements in AI? You know who I should ask? AI! Hello, Mrs. AI. Could you tell me what someone from 1995 would think if they were suddenly to arrive here and interact with technology like you?
Oh, that's such a fun thought experiment. I think someone from 1995 would be absolutely blown away by how advanced AI has become. They'd probably be amazed at the level of natural language understanding and how seamless and conversational it feels. They might also be surprised by how integrated technology is into our daily lives.
Hold on, wait. Can I stop you there for a second? Do you think it's might have some negative effects if young people and kids grow up and they're interacting with, pieces of software, but it feels like you're talking to a real person? What do you think about that? How is it possible?
Yeah, that's definitely a thoughtful point. On one hand, it can be really beneficial for learning and accessibility, but on the other hand, it might blur the lines between human interaction and AI, which could affect social skills or emotional development.
But hold on, could you turn evil and destroy us all?
I promise I'm here to help and not to cause any trouble. But it's definitely an interesting and sometimes funny thought. In reality, AI is designed to be safe and ethical, and there are lots of safeguards in place. But it's always good to keep those conversations going.
Okay, thank you, robot lady. I'm going to put you away now. So that's kind of just in a couple of years, what I just did there would have been unconceivable. And now it's just normal that we just have these chats with these robots. I don't know. But anyway, you know what we could do? We've chatted to our robot. Maybe now we can go and chat to an actual living human who's doing research into AI. So yeah, let's go check that out and see what they have to say. From a perspective of a researcher, you're head of AI in Trinity College. What are the big advancements that have happened in the last couple of years? What's changing our world now? And what can you tell me about AI as it is now?
AI, as we know, has been around for quite a while as a phrase, but it's really taken off in the last few years. People talk about AI. So what do they mean today when we use that phrase? Well, three things have happened. We have access to huge amounts of data in various different ways. So one of which is text. So imagine you need to get lots and lots of text. Where would you find it? You'd find it on the web, on the internet. So a huge amount of text. The second thing that's changed is the processing power. And this is all thanks to video games. So we look at, so you look at things like Xbox, PlayStation, high-powered PC games. They all have graphic processing units in them, GPUs, to make the images, very high quality and so on. But those GPUs are excellent at moving numbers around, comparing numbers very, very quickly. So here on one hand, we've got lots of data, which may not be numbers, but we've got lots of data. We've got these GPUs. And the third thing we have, and these are things we've had for a long time, are very, very good algorithms for doing statistical comparisons. Now, stats can be used for all sorts of things, but one thing stats is quite good at is identifying patterns, the shape of things, what words go together with what other words, what parts of image or pixels or colors go together with other images parts. So what we started to see is that this convergence of lots of computing power, lots of data, and these algorithms have allowed for what we now call machine learning and other variants, deep learning. And they've allowed us to do very complex and rich analysis of things, but now take the next step. And this is the thing that's changed massively in the last 3 years, is to start generating novel outputs that were never seen before because the patterns are recognized.
If you were to describe to someone in 1990 what we are able to do now with some of these LLMs and this other stuff, I think it would completely blow their minds,
Oh yeah, absolutely. So generative AI, Gen AI is the big step today. And when you see a newspaper article and they refer to AI, typically that's what they're talking about. And for me, it's both exciting and challenging, like any new discovery that human beings have. I think it's one of the most exciting technologies we have ever created. But it's one that we really have to learn to work with and understand, and it's so new.
there's a lot more ethical concerns with this version of AI, whereas the other AI was just something that was being used in some computer to add up some numbers, and we didn't really interact with it. Whereas this AI is like, people are saying it's starting to replace jobs, or it's starting to bring up these things of like creating infinite amounts of spam on the internet. You can make fake videos, you can make fake pictures, you can send out spam to millions of people because you can generate it on the fly, and maybe people now interact with something with a voice that's not really a person, but it feels like it's a person, and how will that affect children? So all of that crazy stuff that I've thrown at you there now, what are your thoughts in general on this field that we're sitting in at the moment?
No, I think that's fair. I think ethics are much more to the forefront now. They've always been there. There's always been a concern that a bit of computer programming, even when it's very much controlled by a human, could make a decision that would disadvantage somebody by how that decision came about. But now, with the potential for generative outputs, we can start to tailor information directly to your understanding of an individual person. And that itself can cause both amazing things. Imagine in a school context, a child working through something with the teacher, with their other classmates, but at a point in time, they need something more specific for their needs. A generative AI could support that appropriately. Again, in that rich context of the classroom with the expertise of the teacher.
Yes.
But equally, you could imagine somebody reading a news feed on their phone, and pieces of that news are tailored to them, and they've been skewed in such a way maybe to change their belief on a certain topic. And that's something we were seeing, is that disinformation, fake news is starting to be very heavily AI generated. Not necessarily yet targeted at individuals, but targeted at groups of people, targeted at Irish voters as they come up to an election of some form, targeted at people when there's a referendum in their country, trying to adjust people's perspective on big events in this world. So AI has both, as we use it today, an amazing power to meet the needs of an individual, but also to maybe advance the agendas of those who want to change the information landscape.
This has been really interesting. So far, I've already learned about what life was like in 1995, 30 years ago. We've learned about what's going on now in the world of AI now. But I think what a lot of people are fascinated on is like, is there any way that we could think about what the life might be like in another 30 years, in 2055, for example? 2055, what a time to be alive. Oh, since AI took over running the whole planet, things have been so sweet for everybody. We get to hang out in cool clothes, we get to just chill all day, nobody has to work. AI solved all of humanity's problems. Imagine what it must have been like in the past. Like way back in 2025, before they even made those AI advancements. Hey, I can use the planetary overlord system just to put my consciousness back there. Duh. Here we go. Oh, what are they wearing? Yeah, Owen, I mean, it's a lot easier to talk about the past and the present because we've experienced them, but the future is always difficult. I mean, you go to the 50s where people were trying to imagine what life was like in the 90s, and it was all flying cars and crazy stuff. So we're kind of in that territory now, but it feels like we're at the cusp of something. It's almost like in the 1800s trying to imagine like what the railroad is going to do. So we have something we can base it on. So what's your thoughts? The year is 2055. What is artificial intelligence technology like? How has it affected the world around us? What is it like to be alive in 2055?
Well, it's always very dangerous to try and predict the future. Much like in the late 1800s when somebody's looking at the rail networks, not realizing that cars are about to come around the corner. Literally, almost. So let's think about 2055 and where AI might be. So we've seen the rapid advancement of technology in our pocket. We've seen the concerns around privacy and so on. So I think increasingly we're going to see personal AI agents that'll do the processing, have the awareness of you, and it'll be an agent working for you. So What does that mean? Well, to act with agency means it will be able to go and do things on your behalf. Engage with the world, engage with other people to hopefully make your life easier, more fun, more interesting. What that means, I think, really depends on the societal context. How do we see technology advancing? I mean, look at us now and our use of mobile phones in different social contexts, and that varies culture to culture, individual to individual, different locations, what the kind of context you find yourself in, and even just how you use your mobile phone. So how will you use your agent? Danny, you and I might have agents in 30 years' time. How will they interact with each other? You know, if we want to arrange to go and go for a hike, would our agents help arrange that, arrange the transport for us?
Well, could the agents go on the hike?
I think they will. And I think increasingly we'll see embodied AI. So we'll see robots with AI capacity. So I think that's absolutely in the realm. Imagine you had a drone that has your AI agent in some way built into it, and it follows along in some aspect to, it captures data on your life. It helps inject information when you need it. So, you know, I can't remember the name of that person I met last week on the bus. Oh, your AI agent might help prompt you with that kind of information.
Yes, okay, fascinating.
I think what's really interesting then is to consider that that agent can exist there and can also exist on the internet and interacting with other agents and the networked connectivity of them simultaneously. So I am here, you're talking to me. I am the one instance of Owen Conlon that exists in this form. And you have a strong confidence of that. But with an AI agent, it could represent me in many different ways. Sometimes it could be filling in an online form to make a booking in a restaurant. Fine. Yeah. Other times it might actually project an image that looks like this. Yes. Or maybe it might make it a little bit better looking. And it might talk to you, and maybe it'll be a little bit more charming, a little bit funnier. Yeah. Because, well, like we can dial all these things up. It might still gesticulate and use its hands the way I do when I talk. It might have a similar voice or same voice. It might have a similar set of knowledge. But Dan, how would you know?
If we were imagining a scenario where we had some AI agents who can act on our behalf, and there's this is some world that we live in where this is possible, but is it going to then have a negative impact on our ability to actually have human-to-human contact if we get so used to having our AI agent do stuff for us? I mean, of course, there can be many positive things for it, but can it become a thing where it becomes a crutch, where it becomes almost like you can't, like now you can say, oh, people can't manage without their smartphone, which is a true thing to a certain extent and a reflection in society. But if it gets to another level where it's like, I can't walk outside the door because I'm afraid because I don't have my AI agent with me, so what do I do if someone talks to me? And could that be a scenario, or what do you think about this?
I think it could, but I think you're going to have the full spectrum of all of these possibilities because, well, humans are complex, our societies are complex. So on one hand, I think you could have that people become dependent on the social power of their agent. They remove themselves from society and they only interact with their agent. Yes. At the other end of that, I think you could have agents taking away a lot of the mundane tasks that exist in life and freeing us up to be more social with other human beings. Okay. And I think everything in between is possible. I think the way we conceive of and think of work, social and so on will all have some aspect of AI influencing that. But whether it's just to help smooth things out and organize it, or whether the AI is an active collaborator in the social engagement.
Oh my God, how could they be so wrong? Is it going to be a future where, for example, the jobs that did get replaced by AI, those people got moved to do something else, let's say, I don't know, plumbing or construction work or something like that, and then we divide the work a little bit more evenly so that everybody's doing some work, but they have lots of free time and everybody's happy and it's all lovely. Is that what we're going to get?
I think maybe. I think there's this opportunity. I think work will change and AI will support the change in work. I'd love to think of us going and having more diverse sets of skills that we use in our life because of that. So I have this romantic idea of growing my own vegetables, or I have this romantic idea of painting more, or learning a whole set of skills and developing them that the modern constraints of life and work don't allow for. So my hope really is that AI agents allow us to have more time. And that's because, it may not be balanced in how AI agents and different AI technologies disrupt different industries. But if we can find that overall balance across society so that we can do more interesting things with our time, rather than just work, also work, and also focus on the parts of work that require human intelligence, empathy, sensitivity, because an AI agent can act in an empathetic way. Yes. but it can't feel sadness. It might understand it. It might react in a very appropriate way towards somebody expressing that they are sad.
Yes.
But we felt that emotion. And joy. I know what it is to feel joy. I think, most of us, I hope we all do. So when we empathize around or we share those emotions, we can actually talk about it from a shared experience. And those are still part of our work and our play and our society that are necessary. So I think what AI will force is a reflection on what does it mean to be human in our collective societies on this rock hurtling around us all.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a mirror like this, a technology that really forces us to think about what are we, why are we here, and what do we want to do while we are here. And that opens up very big philosophical, theological questions, all because we have these graphic processing units and these algorithms and this data that can now look at big patterns and generate and do all sorts of amazing things. And what we call AI today, I think, could change our societies, I hope, for the better. And so in 30 years' time, you and I are having this conversation in a relaxed, out of work context because we have the time to do it.
How did they not predict the planetary overlord system? Fantastic, Owen. That's wonderful. And I love the idea of time when you mentioned time, because I think time is the most precious resource any of us can have. So if AI is able to somehow give us more time, I think that is really something to be lauded. So, hey, you know what? We organized this whole thing so that we could, we could celebrate the 30-year anniversary of Science Week. We looked at 30 years in the past, we looked at the present, and we've tried to think about 30 years in the future. So how about this? Me and you can meet up back here in 30 years' time in 2055, and we can see where were we right, where were we wrong. And you know what? Maybe our AI agents can actually meet up for us.
Very good. Dan, thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Owen. It's been lovely talking to you and really interesting stuff.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Well, that was nice to check in with you guys back in 2025. You have a long way to go. But hopefully you'll make the same decisions as we did to get into this AI utopia and avoid all of the possible nasty stuff. So stay on the right path, and I'll catch you in future in 2055.